All right, in this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. It's called astrocartography. And if you don't know what it is, I'm about to blow your mind. And if you like to travel, I'm about to really blow your mind. And if you're spiritual and love to travel and want to go to places that'll endlessly change your life by simply just going there, this video is for you. And if you don't care about any of that, I'd stop watching it now. So the people who just left, the people who stayed, you guys are about to get a ton of value here. I'm going to share with you my astrocartography skills because it greatly and significantly impacted my life through the easiest method. So for those of you who don't know, astrocartography, or those of you who do know, if you're still here, astrocartography essentially takes your natal chart in astrology and maps it out across the world and shows you all these places you can go and visit that bring you different elements in your life. So for instance, like Austin, Texas is my IC Mercury line. I moved there 4 months ago and instantly got all these ideas and thoughts and put them into action. It's very rapid and pop, 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 and tons of partnerships. Boom, that's exactly what a Mercury line is. And then right now on Sunday, so a few days ago, I impulsively flew out to Phoenix, which happens to be my icy sun line, which is like your deepest sense of home. You come here to recharge, and it's 20 degrees warmer than Austin, so the sun recharges me anyway, but it's a place you can go. It feels like you're relaxing and recovering, but a lot of stuff happens. And that's exactly what's happened here in Phoenix. It happened uniquely though. I will share this in the story. But essentially, as you can see there, by simply traveling to different spots in the world and leaving Kansas City where stuff wasn't working for me, I moved to Austin. Shit happened in 1 week. And then 4 months later, I had the strongest network there in business. I went to a mastermind. I connected with the different ecosystems. I'm building my own ecosystem. I just launched my offer, the channel. Like all this shit happened in 4 months. And it's almost like in Kansas City, I was doing 10x the work for a 1x return. In Austin, I'm doing 10x or 1x the work for a 10x return. And then I came out here to Phoenix, and this is where some magical shit happened too, because let me tell you this story. On the plane ride here, actually, let me tell you the full story. So I woke up Sunday morning a few days ago and talked to my grandma. So my grandfather just passed, and I knew something magical was going to happen because it happened with my first grandpa. I talked to my grandma. It was beautiful, and I got off the phone call and got this intuitive hit right away that I needed to book a flight to Phoenix with my Frontier Go Wild Pass, which was $15. Who could say no? And I jumped on a flight 2 hours later to Phoenix, Arizona. And on the flight, I fell asleep, and the coolest thing happened. I had a dream. I don't dream much, but when I do, they're very powerful. And in this dream, I'm in my apartment back in Austin, sitting on the plane. So I'm sitting on the plane going to Phoenix. I fall asleep. In my dream, I walk in my bathroom in Austin, Texas, which is released in a sense of dream state. And then I walk to the bathroom curtain and I pull it so that is unveiling or behind the veil, and a dragonfly pops out. It scares the shit out of me. I wake up on the flight and I'm like, what happened? And the symbolism is release behind the veil, or showcasing yourself. And then a dragonfly is transformation, and it's rapid. It scared the shit out of me. And that's exactly what's happened here in Phoenix, Arizona. And when you hear stories like that, you're like, man, that sounds cool. This transformation is going to be dope. And I was excited. But what I also know is sometimes we think healing and all these transformations are fun, easy, and we're going to feel the release. But what we don't realize is the process is sometimes you have to go through some really hard shit in order to have that transformation. And that's what's happened here. And I'll give you some details, but I won't give you too many to confuse you. But essentially what happened was I flew here, and I knew when I flew here that I wasn't going to have money for rent, because this wild thing happens in entrepreneurship where essentially I think Amazon's the best companies. Even though they were a $1 billion company making $1 billion a year, they were putting all that money back in. And if they made one wrong move, they could have screwed up everything. Like runway is the most important in business. And even though your net worth and stuff can be big, sometimes your runway gets screwed up. And we'll get to that. Mine did get screwed up, and it was the biggest series of events. But essentially it was $400 short on rent, but wasn't worried about it. And a year ago, I would have been like, oh God, what am I gonna do? And I would have stayed at home, and I would have overthought it, drained myself, and then the problem would get solved. This time I was like, I don't know, I feel called to go to Phoenix. That's my IC Sunline. Cool shit happens there. Let's go. We'll figure it out. Everything's fine. We've always been supported, so let's go. And that's what I did. And then out here, I was like, I wasn't spending scarcely. I wasn't like, oh, I need to, make $400. Like making $400 is relatively easy in my reality. It's pretty easy. It's actually really easy. But, at times it can be hard because the planets and stuff are testing you, and they're seeing what you're going to do, right? Because before you grow, you have to pass the final test. And we'll get to that video next. But essentially, I came out here and was like, still buying stuff that I needed. I went to the grocery store, did all that stuff, and was like, perfect, we're fine. And then ended up yesterday, I had to ask her friend for help 2 days ago. And then he's like, all right, sounds like you got a money problem, focus on sales, stop everything else. That's what I did. So then I ended up squeezing people in my offer that had been like, and then my offer went from onboarding to like, onboarding stops on Friday. Everybody who's in now will be in the first build out. Those who sit out are gonna have to pay $5 more to get in the offer the second time because we threw them a ton of value, but they weren't moving. So it squeezes people, right? So then I got to squeeze people in a very good way that shows my branding, what I can do for them, and it worked out. And then the next morning, I ended up onboarding somebody into the offer, but then I had to fly back to KC in a couple of days. Well, I have to go back to KC anyways. Gonna work with that client, so I had to cut my trip short here, go and do that to make it work, which was like perfect. It worked, and I grew from it. Then before that, or then that person's like, all right, well, I'll give you a check when you come to KC. So I'm like, perfect. And I had enough money to come back to KC and stuff. But then I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about rent, right? So then I call my mom and I'm like, hey mom, I got a client on Monday, because my goal was not to get money from my mom, it was to solve the problem first. So I was like, hey, I got a check coming on Monday in Kansas City, which I'm driving back for, and also my grandfather's funeral's that day and all this other stuff, right? It's perfectly working out. And I'm helping somebody move down to Austin. But I'm like, mom, I'm coming back. I gotta work with a client, and I got a $5,000, check on Monday, but I need $1,000 now, and I'll pay you back. She's like, cool. So then she paid the invoice, and I clicked instant deposit and didn't realize the card on it was out of date, and they're sending me a new one, right? Or no, it was an old card that I had in there. So I clicked instant deposit to pay rent before midnight. Didn't happen. That card was, the card was expired on there. So then it instantly processed the payment into 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, no, because I didn't want to pay rent late. That was going to cost me money that I didn't need to spend, right? So then, guess what? I had to send my mom a second invoice after I updated the card, and then did instant deposit on that one and refunded the other one, but it took the money out of my account instead of stopping it. So I'm like, ah. So then the client who I'm meeting up with in KC on Monday I texted her and was like, hey, I got to fly back to Austin. Didn't give her details because I didn't need it. And I was like, hey, I really need help. So then she sent me the Venmo. I was like, yeah, take $500 off the invoice on Monday, and we'll just do this now. Bam, helped. And then I'm flying back to Austin tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to meet with another person on the next day, on Friday. That's a participant in this offer probably, and he needed to meet me in person. And I was like, so as you're seeing, like, all this stuff magically worked out, right? And it is working out, and it took trust, it took leaning in, and it also took getting uncomfortable, asking people for stuff that I didn't want to, and being vulnerable and even sharing this stuff with you, right? Because a lot of you guys will watch me and be like, oh, he's so successful, but even in entrepreneurship, like, no matter how many years you're in business, you never know it's gonna show up, and when it does, you're like, what the fuck? But then it turns into a game, and it's fun for me now. It's like, how am I gonna solve this? And it's not even that, it's like, who do I need to call that can help me solve this? How am I gonna solve this? And then let's do it. And that's exactly what I did. This time I didn't freak out. This time I didn't get scared. Like, I would say that thoughts never stop all the way, in a sense of like, they weren't ruminating, they were just reminders. It was like, what are you gonna do? An hour later, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm figuring it out. And then it kept ruminating. So instead I was like, well, I'm not figuring out. So that voice is telling me we gotta do something to move the needle. And when I did it, I called Spencer, and that solved all my problems. And then it led me to call, my friend May, land her on the offer. And now it's caused me to have a meeting with this guy, Travis, on Friday to try to see if he's in the offer at any step. And then, like Spencer said, we solved the money problems, and every other problem's fallen behind it. But it took leaning into the unknown, taking somebody's advice, asking for help, trust, and all these things. And magically, it all worked out for me. So, and all that has to do with astrocartography is like, magically I was on my IC sun line, my deepest sense of home and self. And this is the spot that I can come to have a self-transformation, which I did. I think through this whole process, I didn't get scared. I didn't go into the old pattern. I created the new version of myself that was like, I'm resourceful. I always know what to do. I just need to stop and just slow down for a second and then start solving it. And sometimes I need to reach out to friends and ask for advice, because that's why they're in my life, that our friends are for. But it's cool to see how I've navigated to use astrocartography first to move down to Austin and get ultra successful out of nowhere. And even my social media is starting to like really blow up. Then come out to Phoenix, hang out with a buddy, and I'm like, dude, this spot is definitely somewhere I need to do entrepreneurship and build stuff. And I'm planning on coming out here once a month. And even though I came out here when the time wasn't right, or it didn't seem like it was right, everything worked out here. And I think that's exactly what it needed to happen. Was if I stayed in Austin, I would have been bored and all this other stuff. Damn, my battery's about to die. So we're gonna stop this right here. But it's like, you guys get the gist of the video. It's like, I followed my intuition, and throughout the times when it was getting hard, I held the tension, I breathed and I was like, how are we gonna solve this? Who do we need to talk to? And we did it. And we're back. And to fully circle this back to, sorry, my battery died. To pull this back to astrocartography, it's like, you know, as I just mentioned, it's like the Austin line created great success for me. The Phoenix line called me and I went, even though everything in my life was like, don't go, Chris. I was like, my intuition said go, so we're going. And then I got here and then problems appeared and I was like, kind of felt those coming from that whole Dragonfly thing. So then I was like, all right, you know, how are we gonna solve this? And being in this spot, I think really helped me solve it. And for you guys who don't know too, we'll get to the gist of this is like astrocartography takes place all over the world. Like Dubai is my sun line of the midheaven. And even that's a good point to tell you is like the icy lines are your deepest sense of self. That's who you are, your foundation. You know, so like the foundation of who I am, speaking and thinking is in Austin, Texas, where science, technology, people are weird and metaphysics is everywhere. That's me. You know, coming to my sunline here in Phoenix, it's warm, it's grounded, it's peaceful, it's a desert, it's wide open. It's just a spot that I can relax and play around, but still get stuff done. That's very much of who I am at the deepest sense of self. And it's somewhere that I can spend time alone and I can do all this other stuff. But then you bring in your midheaven, so your MC, oh, man, that's a good burp there. We said something big. So the MC lines are huge too. So the MC lines, all my MC lines are in Europe, the Middle East, and East Asia, which is where I've always wanted to live, and I love traveling there and going there, right? So Dubai, I think, is my MC sunline. That's where I have great success in my career, and your MC is how the public perceives you. And I know I'm gonna be in Dubai by the end of this year. And if it's not the end of this year, time's hard with intuition, right? Because you can go at different speeds, but you know, when I go to Dubai, something really cool happens. And I think something cool happens before I get there, then poof. And then my MC Jupiter is in Dubai, or my MC Sun is in Dubai. And then my MC Jupiter or Sun is in Hong Kong, which I've always been fascinated with China. And that's where stuff really goes boom. And I feel like, and even sitting in ayahuasca, Aya showed me I'd moved to Austin, Seattle, Dubai, Hong Kong, Bali, and then Cape Town in that order. And all those are my astrocartography locations. I forgot what the one is in Seattle, but Seattle's a big tech one like Austin too. So you get the gist of like, in knowing this, it'll help you understand where you can travel, because I call it transformation travel. It's like I travel for leisure, but when you can travel for leisure and it's astrology based and magical shit happens, that's the coolest phenomenon in the world. And in knowing this, it's like whenever I get, I don't want to say stuck, I never feel stuck. Whenever I feel some tension building and travel's on my mind, I look it up and I'm like, oh yeah, that's that line. Cool, let's go there, because wild shit happens. And the more you can lean into the magic of it, of like, if I go here, something's going to happen, without being like, if I go here, something needs to happen. Like that never works. But if you approach it with an open mind, and I'm like, I'm curious why I'm feeling called to go here. You look up your astrocartography, it's got a line. Now there's a deep reason you can look up, see if it resonates, and if you still want to go, go. And also like backtrack where you've traveled to, what happened there, and then see if it's on your astrocartography map. Because one of my favorite things to do is reverse astrology. And I'll look backwards at my life and see where I went, what I did, what happened. And instead of projecting onto what's going to happen, I look backwards to see those patterns and I'm like, holy shit, this was on this line and these three things happened. And my mind's like, whoa. And that's what I love, is those feelings like that. And I wanted to share that with you, because in just telling this story, and sorry for the length of it, but in sharing this story with you, I think you can really see the whole astrocartography impact in my life, because Kansas City didn't have a line and I felt like it was a training ground. Training got completed and I felt it. My friendships, my relationships, my business stuff just kind of fell off there, and boom, land in Austin, Mercury line, I see. Everything happened instantly, which is a Mercury line, and then boom, come over to the sun line, transformation, the sun, the Phoenix. We're in Phoenix, Scottsdale, but Phoenix. Like, I feel like I've just created this new sense of self, and I had to do all these things that I disliked, but it was really easy this time. I asked for help, I got advice, I acted on it, I you know, got like all that stuff that I shared. And that's what I want to share with you, is just use travel as a sense of transformation, and also for hobbies, because it's magical what can happen when you stack those things together, and it'll just create a phenomenal experience with you. And yeah, if you guys have any questions to this video or specific to astrocartography, as always, like my whole wish in this community is that I can be a resource of you. I love to share knowledge. I love to share wisdom. I love engagement. So if you have a question from this, drop it in the community comments, or even you guys have my email and stuff, book a one-on-one call. Like, you guys have the cheapest rate for me. $100 for an hour is the cheapest I'll ever go. But I want to give it to the people who are investing in me and seek this knowledge and information, because I endlessly have all this stuff pouring through my life. I also know I'm an alchemist, so like crazy shit happens in my life and I'm meant to teach you. And if I don't, it happens again. So I have to teach you. So it's a really cool, a feedback loop. I'm seeing Nikola Tesla's like circuit. It's like I get these downloads, I live it, I learn from it, I share it, it goes to you, you guys engage, or you're here, and we keep the loop going, because information is why humans can speak, and that's what we're meant to transfer. And the more we transfer it, the more we get, the more experiences we can live, and the better things that happen overall. And I'm talking with my hands, so that's my Gemini and Mars. But anyways, guys, I'll leave this video here. Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment if you got a question, drop it in the community, book a one-on-one with me. I'd love to help you or assist you any way I can. Thank you for being here. I love you, and see you on the next video.